It doesn't matter what this little boy does that's wrong, he's rewarded for it. In fact, Hermione wants so much to be the friend of Ron and Harry. Well, Hermione is a goody-goody two-shoes, and throughout the earlier parts of the books, she is considered by Ron and Harry to be somebody that they don't want to be with. However, she lies to protect them. And this lie changes them, and the reward is that she becomes one of the trio and the team. So this kind of shifting situational ethics, non-absolutism, relativism is so contrary to the biblical concept of God as a God of truth, a God of right, a God of justice. And here is the bottom line of witchcraft being taught through the Harry Potter books, and it is part of a religious philosophy. The lightning bolt is a mark of power from the god Thor, again the horned god, a god of power. And this lightning bolt was considered so important in occult mythology that Hitler used it on his uniforms, on the collar of his uniform, and it is half of the swastika, which is the other lightning bolt that goes across. You go to any feminine-oriented cult, ask a witch what the significance of the broom is. It's a phallic symbol, and it's very important in feminine-oriented cult worship. And the concept of being on a broom and riding is so that you can be moved into an astral projected state, into another dimension, to be able to have deeper powers.
Good afternoon, class. Welcome to your first flying lesson. Stick your right hand over the broom and say up. Wow. Mr. Longbottom, exactly where do you think you're...
The same with the pointed hat, which again is a phallic symbol in occult reasoning. So all these symbols that are there of the brooms, the pointed hat of the witches, the unicorn, that is all part of witchcraft and occult symbology of the fertility cults. Divination is the concept of being able to divine or see into the future. Fortune telling, palm reading, tea leaf reading in teacups, crystal ball gazing. All these things are taught through the teachers, the witches and wizards in Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, who are all accomplished occultists. Children are being vicariously taught the dark arts, the arts which witches today are learning, many pagans today are learning. Now there's a difference between divining, seeking knowledge for the present or future, and sorcery, which is the manipulation. It's not the discovering of the future, but it's the manipulation of things right now that can change or influence a current situation or a person. Now that is how I got into the New Age, because I wanted to manipulate through powers that I was told were in my inner potential, that I had psychic abilities if I could develop them. And this is what every reader is being told in Hogwarts School that Harry has, and every student there has. They have psychic powers that they are learning to develop through the classes that they go to. And by the way, you can really see the difference in development in Harry when he's 11 years old in book 1 to getting to book 2 when he's 12, 13, and by 14 he is extremely competent. And as Harry is learning, and as the teacher explaining, so is the little reader of 4 to 6, and if they're not reading, by the way, there are cassettes that Scholastic puts out, series of cassettes that children can hear these stories. Many of the parents that I talked to said that there was absolutely no trouble with Harry in the sense of that they, as children, had read Alice in Wonderland or Sleeping Beauty, and even many Christians say that, having read C.S. Lewis, who also talks about witches, that these things, witchcraft has not influenced them today, and they are not proponents of witchcraft. However, I think there is a real difference and distinction here, because in Sleeping Beauty, the witches there didn't teach the child watching or the child reading how to be involved in the inner intricacies of sorcery, which is to manipulate powers so that the child can have what the child wants or what the child craves. So these people that, yes, they saw witchcraft, they saw that it was bad, as in C.S. Lewis, who clearly defines it within a biblical worldview. We knew they were evil, and we were not, in a sense, infatuated or fascinated by their philosophy. Some Christian personalities are saying that Harry Potter's magic is just purely mechanical magic. Now, I don't understand purely mechanical magic, because I don't know where in the Bible God differentiates between sorcery, that is, that manipulating what you want, and it being mechanical. Maybe adults can redefine mechanical magic to somehow justify the reading of these books, but tell me, a little reader, a young reader who is reading Harry Potter, that is becoming more and more fascinated with the powers of spells and curses and rituals and herbs and crystal reading and all the things that are going on and being taught at Hogwarts, how is that child to differentiate between real magic and mechanical magic, real spells and mechanical spells? I mean, a child doesn't care. The child just wants the power to be able to do what the child is doing. And Harry doesn't care whether it's mechanical. It works for Harry. He puts his wand out and gives the spell, and it works. It accomplishes what Harry is trying to accomplish. And that's the point. The children are seeing that their hero is getting what he wants with words, with prayers, with rituals. Therefore, he can do it. My deepest concerns and fears about Harry Potter is the teaching of the dark arts, the blackest of magic, that, quite frankly, I didn't even get into in all my years of New Age because I was so scared of it. And yet here, it is graphically explained to young children how to be able to fight the dark arts, to defend yourself against the dark arts through an actual class called the Defense Against the Dark Arts by a black occultist. And in each of the books, the dark teacher changes, because in one case he's killed, and because he's possessed by Voldemort the snake. So that, just to let you know, if you're possessed by a snake and the snake leaves you, you are dead meat. And that is the blackest side of occultism there is. And that is the teacher that is teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts. So here are the children and the readers, Harry Potter and all his teammates in the schools, and the children that are reading the Harry Potter books, being introduced to the darkest and black arts that even disciples of witchcraft would be fearful of getting involved in. And then they're told that through their imagination, through stronger concentration, through stronger self-hypnosis, through their own power within themselves, which is being taught by the witches and wizards, they can defend themselves against the dark arts. And there are several very scary situations where the boggarts, as they're called, these horrible things that children fear, and you're told to think of anything that you fear, conjure it up, bring it to yourself, and then be able to fight it. This is a very, very scary thing to teach children.
There's a possibility, if you don't cast a circle, the forces that could come into the room could take over in a form of possession. We had one example here where one young woman, a nurse, was possessed by, I don't know what it was, but a horrible voice came through her, and she passed out.
Hail to the guardians of the watchtowers of the East, the powers of air and invention. Hear me! Us. Hear us.
Hail to the guardians of the watchtowers of the south, powers of fire and feeling. Hear us!
Hail to the guardians of the watchtowers of the west, powers of water and intuition. Hear us!
Hail to the guardians of the watchtowers of the north by the powers of mother and earth. Hear us!